The forest is dangerous, dark, and foreboding if uninvited. Welcome to another DragonLance Saga episode. My name is Adam, and today we're going to talk about Wayreth Forest. I'd like to take a moment and thank the members of this channel and invite you to consider becoming a member by visiting the link in the description below. You can even pick up Dragonlance gaming materials using my affiliate links. I'm referencing the Last Tower and Towers of High Sorcery source books for this information. If I leave anything out or misspeak, please leave a comment below. The creation of Wayreth Forest was born out of necessity. The name Wayreth, meaning first home in Silvanesti, is in reference to the Tower of High Sorcery the wizards built in the center of it. The Wizards of High Sorcery needed a place of protection for their Tower of High Sorcery. With the locals warring with the Order, they looked to Kharro the Red. The wizards planted a stone of threes, which in conjunction with initiating a series of spells to raise the tower, Kharro the Red cast the illusion which manifested this magical forest. The spell was deliberately destroyed, so no one would be able to mimic or discover the spell's secrets. It is so secret, in fact, that only the head of the conclave of wizards knows it through a Geas cast on the orders. When a new Highmage is placed, they automatically learn the spell in order to renew the illusion over the forest every month. When they leave as head of the order, the spell is magically removed from their mind. This makes the magic over the Forest of Wayreth the longest continuously cast spell in all of Krynn, even predating the most legendary of artifacts. The spell that surrounds the Forest of Wayreth will allow only members of the Orders of High Sorcery and those exclusively invited by them to find it. You could scour all of Ansalon, but without their permission, you would only find frustration. For context, wizards that seek the tower may find it as far north as Darkenwood or as far south as the Plains of Dargoth, from the Algani shore in the west to the Forsaken Mountains in the east. It can even be located in several places at once. It is magical after all. Technically speaking, the spell created a trans-dimensional field, a pocket of space that doesn't actually exist on Krynn, but rather adjacent to it. Its original location in the southern edges of Silvanesti holds no bearing on where it may be found. And weather outside of the forest has no effect on the atmosphere within it. The forest itself is not the cheeriest of locations. After remaining forbidden to all but the orders, it has adopted the appearance unto itself. The ground is covered in a thick, noxious mist, which obscures the light from the sun and moons. It is freezing cold to the flesh and smells of rotting meat. The trees appear dead, twisted, and deformed. Their bony, knuckled roots are joined by their skeletal boughs, which sag to the ground in uneven rows. The sparse, lifeless leaves never fall from their branches as no wind stirs within the forest. There are strange red-eyed shadows that pass through their trunks, confining themselves to the fog and darkness beyond. However, this is all naturally part of the illusion. For members of the orders, the trees will actually make a pathway to the entrance of the Tower of High Sorcery. For anyone else, they might find themselves eternally lost until the wizards decide what to do with them. Travel through the forest may result in the traveler passing over the same ground repeatedly, or in circles, without ever realizing it. Flying above the canopy is as useless as walking through the forest if the tower or its residents do not wish to allow you entry. Not even spells of teleportation or transportation will work properly unless approved by the tower. Once you pass this threshold, the forest opens up to become a mystical and yet familiar place. The dark and foreboding trees straighten and bloom. If you're from Solace, you'll find the forest filled with Valenwood trees with their full golden leaves. If you're from Carthay, you'll see mahogany and snowy woods. The fog is burned away by the brightness of the sun or moons, regardless of the weather outside the forest. The sounds of wildlife will fill the canopy, and magical creatures will slowly reveal themselves. The atmosphere of powerful magic drives away your hunger, thirst, and fatigue. But don't let this stark change in appearance fool you. You are only here at the whim of the tower and its residents. Should you prove violent, the forest itself is more than capable of defending itself. Every tree, root, and branch is capable of detaining and burying an interloper. This is the least of your worries, however, as the Wizards of High Sorcery are ever watchful of their forest and will defend it with their sacred magics. The forest is rich in natural flora. Any wizard in need of natural spell components is able to wander the forest unmolested, foraging for herbs, fungus, and more. Sadly, this practice is lost by most wizards who find the use of teleportation spells a more effective means of transportation and utilize their apprentices or shops to procure their spell components. The Towers of High Sorcery lies at the heart of the Forest of Wayreth, with the forest ending less than 100 feet from its gates, but the illusion can make that distance seem eternal for those unwelcome. Wayreth Forest itself fills an area of 10 miles in diameter. There's only ever been one instance of someone approaching the Tower of High Sorcery in Wayreth Forest without permission. The renegade wizard, Liam Reichstadt, used a powerful anti-magical artifact known as Ventir to paralyze the tower's defenses and attack it. His attempt was ultimately thwarted by the Wizards of the Conclave with the aid of Bram Dithon, a nobleman from northern Aragoth. From that moment on, the wizards altered the tower's defenses to defeat any future attempts to circumvent them. It's even believed that the gods themselves, before leaving Krynn in the Fifth Age, strengthened the tower and its surrounding forest of Wayreth. There is legend of Raistlin Magir fathering a daughter with his Irda soulmate in Wayreth Forest, though Raistlin himself denies this event ever taking place. Wayreth Forest is almost a character unto itself, like all of the barriers which protect the Towers of High Sorcery. It is necessary to allow the Wizards of High Sorcery to hone their craft without worrying about thieves or intruders. It protects students unable to protect themselves in their study of magic, and it may be the very last piece of magic on Krynn if there ever comes an end to it all. Even in the Fifth Age, when magic was deteriorating in the absence of the gods, Wayreth Forest remained enigmatic and elusive. The great dragon overlord Berlinternach was not even capable of discovering it. But that is all I have to say about Wayreth Forest. Have you ever used it in your campaigns? Do you think there might be residents of the forest trapped since its creation? And finally, what's your favorite protective grove around a Tower of High Sorcery? Leave a comment below. I would like to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. This all goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. Thank you for watching. This has been Adam with Dragonlance Saga, and until next time, remember, there is always the great worm Catopelius to protect us. Isn't there, mage?